वो लोग आर लाइक स्ट्रगलिंग डूड, और हमने ये निकाल दी ह्यूज वाली गाड़ी को. तुम टॉय कार को नहीं निकाल सकते.
Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm driving this. This is the Ford Endeavour Sport, and yes, you can open the boot by pressing this button. And we all know that the Endeavour is due for a generation change as soon as next year. That's why Ford is trying to give it a shot in the arm with this Sport Edition, which is nothing but cosmetic updates to the car. And obviously it gets hydraulic struts. There's insulation right there. And this is the new 2-liter diesel engine. I have not driven it earlier. So yes, I'm going to be giving you a complete review of this car in this vlog. So up front you can see they have done a lot of ebony black. So everything is kind of blacked out on this car to give it this sporty appeal. So blacked out grille, blacked out front bumper, skid plate also is blacked out. And with the updated model of the Endeavour with the new engine, of course, they gave it new lights like LED lights. Yeah, all LEDs. This is the DRL projector setup and it does look nice. However, the fog lamp is not LED. Front parking sensors on this car. This is how the indicator works on this vehicle. Now of course the Endeavour has a lot of presence and Ford has given it a lot of black treatment. Even the alloy wheels are now finished in black. In fact, it's just not finished in black. These are new alloy wheels. Yeah, the design is different. 265, 60, 18 is the size of the tire, and just see this space. Alright, so there's a lot of travel. Meanwhile, from the side, again, it looks very similar to what it used to look before. But this is blacked out. The side footsteps are blacked out. The roof rail is blacked out as well. Yes, you get blacked out roof rails as well. And everything is blacked out. In fact, the mirrors are also blacked out. And it also gets a puddle lamp here below. Meanwhile, with the updated model, with the new engine, of course, 2-liter, rather 2.2 and 3.2 is gone from here. It says Endeavour, and obviously these vents are totally fake. Unfortunately, Ford did put a lot of black on this car, but they ran out of black when it came to the door handles. So they're still finished in chrome. You get a request sensor. You also get a keyhole, which in case of emergency you can use. Yeah, chrome door handles doesn't make sense on a car which is otherwise completely blacked out. This car does have a lot of presence. Now once you come to the rear, you realize that the blackout treatment continues here as well. Now between both the lights there is this Endeavour written, which is again blacked out. This is the reverse parking camera, rear parking sensors. The bumper is also finished in black, so is the skid plate. So a lot of black on this car, giving it a sportier appeal. Yeah, everything is black. Absolutely everything is black on this car. Actually looks very sporty now. In fact, to make sure it looks sporty, they have also written sport here. Yeah, this is written on both the sides. It's a little reflective on this side, so we'll come to the other side and show it to you. Yeah, Sport is written right there, just to tell you that this is the Sport edition of the Ford Endeavour. Now let's do one thing. Let's open the boot. It gets a request sensor below, so if you come and stand and wave your foot, whatever, it actually opens the boot. But because the car is on right now, we're just going to open it right away by pressing a button, and obviously it gets a powered tailgate as well. The boot is decent even with the third row up, and you get a 12-volt charging socket here, and this seems to be a hook or handle, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyways, there is storage space here for the jack and all those things, and there's a compartment here as well. Now the good thing is that the third row of seats are actually powered. You can press a button here to recline the seat. Yes, that is super cool. Okay, this is a feature which should be there in every third row, or rather 3-row car. And that is also very convenient. Look at the boot carrying capacity now. It's massive. You can actually fit in a Figo inside. That's how big the boot is. And you obviously get a cup holder on both the sides and AC vents on the top along with a light. And there's a hook there as well. In fact, let me tell you something, that all the AC vents on the American cars are exactly the same. Okay, yeah, even if you talk about the Escalade for that matter, press a button and there you can recline them back as well. 50-50 split. Now to close the boot, press a button, powered tailgate for the win. Now it has got a lot of black treatment. Unfortunately though, 4-wheel drive is not written in black. They couldn't have blackened that out as well, and it says Sport right here too. But because it's a 3-row SUV, the spare wheel is actually below here. Yeah, this is where the spare wheel is, which is not an alloy on this car. And can you find the exhaust? Yep. So the exhaust can't be seen, but there's no fake exhaust either. Let's get inside. The good thing is that the Endeavour is a very spacious car. Alright, you actually have to climb into it. Thankfully, you got side footsteps as well. Door pockets are big enough. There's plenty of space on offer. And if you want to get into the last row, well, quite easy. Press this button and there you can push this all the way ahead. Yeah, that's done. But there's not much space on offer in the last row. In fact, under thigh support is really very poor, so it's best for children. But obviously you can move the seat ahead if you want to actually give the last row passengers some amount of space. So yes, it's actually practical, because sometimes if you want to use the last row, you can do that as well. See, you see the difference? That is pushed all the way behind. This obviously, there's a lever here. You can push it ahead or behind if you so want. Floor is not completely flat, and you can recline the seat completely to 60-40 split in order to increase the boot carrying capacity. So yes, a very practical car indeed. Now there is good amount of space on offer, like really good amount of knee room and leg room. Scooped out seat back, magazine holder. These are the controls for the rear AC vents, and there is a 12-volt charging socket. Maybe that should be an USB. Yeah, AC vents are placed here. There's a light placement here as well, and same is replicated on that side as well. Meanwhile, you get a center armrest, and there are cup holders that open like that. Yeah, seat is very comfortable. I love the seats. All the headrests of this car are adjustable. Adjustable headrests everywhere. You see, there's a mic placement here, or probably that is for the noise cancellation. You will figure that out once you're driving. Okay, it's there everywhere. That's kind of cool. Meanwhile, like I told you, good amount of space on offer. Under support could have been slightly better, and yeah, headroom is just about adequate, because the panoramic roof actually eats into the headroom of the car. You see, it's a massive panoramic roof. The dashboard looks the same as before. Not much has changed here. Actually, I don't understand that if they're calling it the Sport Edition with all black. Okay, actually the rear seat passengers can lock and unlock the car. That's also pretty cool. Maybe it's signaling that this is for the chauffeur driven. Love this treatment. In fact, this is there between the dashboard as well. Now you see, it's a practical car. Good amount of space in the second row. Really nice and comfy. However, I don't understand that if you're blacking out everything, why didn't you black out the interior as well? Why have the beige treatment? Blacken out the interior as well. But I think this is like a stopgap measure, very last moment thought of, you know, coloring the car black from the outside but not doing it from the inside. Okay, beige gives it the airy feeling without a doubt. Good amount of space here as well. These are controls for the power windows. It gets a one touch up and down. That's also pretty cool. And this is to lock or unlock the vehicle. Obviously, electric adjust for the driver, which is pretty cool, which is obviously expected at this price point. It says Endeavour on the mat as well. It's a proper dead pedal. This is actually to open the hood of the car. There's a secret storage here. No, this is actually for the fuse box. Sorry, smokers. Okay, it says OBD. These are the controls for the fog lights. Actually, these are the controls for the fog lights. These are the controls for the headlights. Automatic headlights. This is to open the boot of the car. You press this button there, the boot opens. There it's opening. That's kind of cool that the driver can open it very conveniently and press a button again and you can put it down. Now, why am I saying it that the driver can put it conveniently? Because usually it's somewhere down, you know, you're hunting for it when you come to a mall and they're like, khol ke dikhao kya hai tumhare boot mein. Anyways, I love this treatment. I love the quality of the car, the leather, everything feels nice. The front seats are really very comfortable, extremely nice, great bolstering, and I love this white stitching too. And you know what? It's so easy to get inside. Hold this handle, literally climb into the car, and there you are inside. Okay, these are the controls for the adjustment for the outside rear view mirrors, not really inside of the driver. And this is to actually, okay, let's close the door, I'll show it. Press this button and there you can close the outside rear view mirrors as well. Now the dashboard obviously looks really very nice. Auto dimming inside rear view mirror, plenty of buttons. This is obviously for the sun blind, this is for the light control, and this is to open the sunroof of the car. So a lot of lights, yeah, very functional. There's a sunglass holder here, and obviously I think these are some sensors or whatever. There's obviously a mirror along with a light, and this is obviously for the mic. Meanwhile, the same is the case here as well. But right now the interesting part is that there is a locking mechanism for the glove box, and there's a separate compartment below too. It's a cool glove box now, isn't it? Is it? Meanwhile, is your seat power adjustable or manually adjustable? It's electric adjust. Wow, that's really cool. Twin cup holders here below the front center armrest. There's storage space, and they put another compartment. There's nothing inside. There's no cooling function or any USB slot, surprisingly though. And manual handbrake. Now there is a 12-volt charging socket here, and there's a USB charging socket. There's another USB charging socket. That one is actually powered, and there's storage space here as well. Gear lever feels nice to hold. This is obviously for the terrain management system. You see plenty of functions here. Yeah, you can decide how you want to take where you want to take the car. You can get into rock mode, and obviously for rock mode you have to get into 4x4 low. This is the sand mode of the car, and this is the snow, mud, grass mode, and this is obviously the normal mode. Now whenever you change all this, it obviously shows it to you in the display, in the instrument cluster. The instrument cluster is a very nice looking unit. You know why? Because it gets two screens on either sides. Yeah, there are two screens on either sides, and in the center you've got an analog speedometer and gear position indicator, telltale lights here. Lot of buttons on the steering wheel somehow. These are actually the buttons to control this. So you can browse through a lot of information. So it's showing you the tachometer, distance to empty, average speed, tire pressure monitor, digital speedo, power distribution, off-road mode, because basically in off-road mode is telling you what is your angle and all those things, and you can get back and you can get into trip computer, fuel economy, driver assist systems as well, AdBlue status, AdBlue refill, chimes and tire monitor. So yes, it's a easy to use system because everything is, you know what, the car's done just 216 kilometers. So we are going to be running it in this particular vlog. On the left, again, you've got a screen. Buttons are here to operate it. That's basically for the audio system, phone and music. And these are actually the controls for the volume. This is to pick up or decline a call. And it also gets voice command. Okay, we can just use voice command.
Please say a command.
Set temperature to 22.5 degrees.
Did you say 21.5 degrees?
Yes.
Setting temperature to 21.5 degrees.
I actually set 22.5, but whatever. Anyways, these are the controls for the air conditioning, and you can just turn off the air conditioning by pressing a button here. And these are the controls for the audio system. You see, this is the volume control. This is the hazard light switch. It gets an 8-inch screen, which actually gets Sync 3 system. Okay, I like this treatment on the car, which looks really nice. And you see soft material on the top because obviously it's leather, but really hard plastics on the lower half of the dashboard. Any which ways, these are actually the controls for the cruise control, and these are the controls for the headlights. It obviously gets automatic wipers. These are the controls for the wipers. The wipers work really well. Plenty of spray on offer, but you know what Ford did with the facelift? They removed the headlight washers from the car. And yeah, that happened very sneakingly. You never knew, because obviously they will not mention in a press release, you know what, we have added these features, we have removed these features. That nobody talks about. And yeah, the audio system is also really nice. I love the, you know, design of the dashboard. It looks very, you know, somehow simple, rugged, and this car is like a coconut, hard from the outside and soft from the inside. Anyways, let's play an audio. Audio quality is really very nice, very impressive as well, and this is a very slick system. There's navigation, safe lawful vehicle using the driver's, whatever that warning was, and why was it even there in the first place. So yeah, that is also slick system, and you've got plenty of information. You get Apple CarPlay, you get Android Auto connectivity as well. Meanwhile, let's get into reverse right away, and this is the reverse parking camera. It gets adaptive guidelines, but somehow it's showing me the number plate too. You can actually zoom in. Yeah, there's another zoom view. So there are two views for the camera, and obviously it gets front and rear parking sensors too. So yes, plenty of features in this car. It's loaded to the gale and more. In fact, this is for the parking sensors. This is for self-park, traction control button, and when you press this button, you can lock the rear diff. And this is for 4x4, basically low range gearbox. And you see, this is the engine start stop button, which is kind of placed in a weird location, but you know, with the facelift they added this. Otherwise, obviously you had to put the key inside, which did not come when the Endeavour was first launched. But let's do one thing. Let's press the self park and see how the car is able to park on its own. It says parallel park, searching for parking space on the left hand side. Please drive forward. As you can see, the self-park system works beautifully well. It actually is one of the best systems I have encountered because it does everything very fluidly, very nicely. Okay, let's turn off the car. Let's get outside. Let me show you another cool feature of this car. Okay, it's going to make this chime. So let's just turn off the lights and let me remove the key. Okay, this is the key of the car. We're going to lock it, and I'm going to press this button. And when I keep this button pressed, it actually opens the power windows. Yeah, there the windows open. All the windows open of the car. But the sunroof only tilts. Now if I want to close the windows, I keep the button pressed again, and of course all the windows roll up and the sunroof also gets back into place. Now of course this is a feature which is there in a ton of cars, including all the VW cars as well, but I have not shown you the sunroof of the car. It gets a panoramic sunroof. Let's turn on the vehicle. Obviously I've opened the sun blind. Okay, the sun blind is kind of closing, so there we open the sun blind completely. Let's open the sunroof. Although the button for the sunroof is not very reassuring because you expect to pull something, but you just have to press a button here. Press it once more and it opens more. That is the sunroof of the car. How is this car to drive? Well, let's get going right away. Alright, we are all set to go. Some bad roads here, but no problem for the Endeavour because the ride quality is absolutely brilliant. Of course, that lumpiness is there because of a body on frame platform, but the ride is really very nice. In fact, it's even better than before, mostly in the sense of the way the NVH is on this car, because the suspension doesn't make much noise. Earlier also it didn't make much noise, but now it's even more silent, and that's really very brilliant. Of course, the suspension is on the softer side, which lends it a great ride quality. There's plenty of travel actually, and because of which this car absolutely annihilates bad roads without any fuss whatsoever. This is an SUV which can actually, you know, just take bad craters also in its stride without any issue. And the good thing is, in spite of the softness of the suspension, high-speed stability is also pretty good on this car. Now we're going to get into sport mode. Here we are into sport mode, And straight away, what is this dude doing? That's nice, that's nice. And here we go. You see the engine has a very narrow power band, in fact narrow torque band I would say. This is a 2-liter diesel engine. The earlier one was the 3.2 and the 2.2, but what is different here is the fact that most of us expected it to be the twin turbo, but it is a single turbo producing 170 horsepower, less than its chief competitor the Toyota Fortuner, and 420 Newton meters of torque. Now that 420 Newton meters of torque comes in between 2000 to 2500 RPM. Again, a narrow torque band, because of which the overall power band and the torque band is itself narrow on this car, resulting in it losing breath very fast somehow. As soon as you reach around 3,500 RPM, it's like, I'm done with it. Next gear, please. Into sport mode, air conditioning off, turning off traction control, left foot on the brake, revving the motor, it revs till 3,000 RPM. Did you just notice one thing? In spite of the narrow torque band, this engine still has great pulling power. You know why? Because it's got 10 speeds. Yes, for the gearbox, it's got a 10-speed torque converter gearbox, and that's the reason, in spite of the narrow torque band, it still pulls very nicely, because the gearbox is very smart. Okay, it has a very smart algorithm going inside that it realizes every given moment. On is also really very nice. So the gearbox actually realizes when it needs to shift, and it can skip a slew of gears as well. It can go from 2 to 8 as well if it needs to, or from 9 to 2 to 9 to 2 to 9 to 3 to whatever. Basically, it can skip gears either way, because it is very smart. It realizes that you have come to a certain speed for cruising, and then it's like, okay, you're cruising at this speed, now let me do one thing, let me upshift, and it does it very nicely, smoothly. The engine is also quite refined, it's very smooth and refined, but it gets vocal in the higher end of the rev range. So as you push it beyond 3000 RPM, it starts to become vocal, and red lines at just 4000 RPM. But of course, performance is more than adequate from this 2-liter diesel engine. Although yes, we needed twin turbos, but Ford did not offer it in India, obviously for 2 reasons. One is for the price, okay, for a more attractive price of this particular car, and the next generation Endeavour, which is going to be coming in less than a year's time, is going to get the twin turbo diesel with a lot more oomph on offer. And I love the fact that in spite of this car being so big, so heavy, braking performance is also very strong in this vehicle. Now what we're going to do is we are going to try and do some wheel spin. So here we go, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor. No, there's no wheel spin on offer. I'll tell you why, because obviously it's a 4-wheel drive, and because it's a 4-wheel drive and has massive chunky tires, it does not spin its wheels easily. Good amount of grip on offer, handling is also pretty decent, but yes, there is some amount of body roll on offer expectedly, because this is a tall and heavy car. This weighs more than 2200 kgs, and because of the height, the soft suspension, there is roll on offer. The steering wheel is somehow dulled down. That's what Ford does. First it makes you used to a very good steering wheel, and then it dulls it down as it gives updates to its cars, like it did with the EcoSport as well as with the Endeavour. It doesn't feel as sharp as before. Now, it is not as good a handler as the Fortuner, not even the earlier model, but because the Fortuner obviously is on the stiffer side, the Fortuner just feels better to drive fast because of its stiffer suspension setup, and the ride is very stiff on the Fortuner somehow. The ride here is beautiful. It is so good, it's so refined, and I mean, it just takes everything in its stride. Only thing is that lumpiness can be felt of a body on frame platform. So 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes around 12.5 seconds, which makes it as fast, or rather as slow, as the 2.2 Endeavour, which has been discontinued, but obviously it's not in the league of the 3.2. The 3.2 was 1.5 seconds faster than the 2-liter engine, and not only that, the 3.2 obviously felt a lot more punchy, because I mean, obviously there's no replacement for displacement. It had more power, it had more torque, it was faster and whatnot. But this is on par with the 2.2 in terms of performance when we talk about outright acceleration. But in terms of overall drivability, this seems better than the 2.2, all thanks to the fact that this gearbox is an absolute genius the way it works. Obviously, you've got no paddle shifters on offer, which by the way the Fortuner does get. So there's no Triptronic function either. You can't move the gear lever here or there, but there are buttons here. Okay, you can use those buttons, and it will give you complete manual control of things, redlining just under 5000 RPM. But buttons, they don't give you the feel of driving a car with such massive presence on the road. But the good thing is obviously it gives you complete manual control of things. Honestly, this is the way to drive. You see, it just makes too much noise higher up in the rev range because it doesn't like the top end at all. And it's best to actually leave this gearbox completely in the hands of the car itself to do the shift, because it's smart enough to let you ride the torque curve and make you go quicker and quicker. In terms of the output numbers, this is right in between the 2.2 and the 3.2. Yeah, lower displacement, yet it is between the 2.2 and the 3.2. Obviously the 3.2 was so much better in terms of outright performance, and just felt more engaging to drive thanks to more power, being faster and whatnot. Now you see, over rumblers, no problem at all. That little lumpiness is obviously there, characteristics of a body on frame platform car. But leave that aside and you will really enjoy the Endeavour. This is a car which obviously gives you great presence. You can see everything around you, and the mirrors are massive in terms of size as well. Disappointingly though, the steering can only be adjusted for height. ऊपर नीचे कर सकते हो, आगे पीछे नहीं कर सकते, which is shocking at this price point, because even a Honda WRV, which costs like 1/4 of this car, gets that feature. Not 1/4, slightly lesser than 1/4. It costs 13.20 lakhs. This one costs almost 42 lakhs. Okay, there are 3 variants on offer. There's a Titanium 4x2, Titanium Plus 4x2, and Titanium Plus 4x4, which is the top end model, and this is the Sport. I believe it's going to cost as much as the Titanium Plus 4x4. Honking won't remove the potholes, dude. The potholes are going to be there, and it glides over bad roads. Yeah, that body on frameness moving you with a soft suspension. Still, this is a very capable car off the road. In fact, it has got some electronic bits which are not there in the Fortuner, like can lock the rear diff, but that is not needed in the Fortuner because Fortuner has a very smart traction control system, which obviously helps its cost. Now see, the sound of the motor gets very vocal in the top end of the rev range. However, one must not forget that it's a very refined motor, largely also because of the fact that it's got active noise cancellation, wherein the car plays low speed sounds in reverse to cancel out the sounds at lower speeds. That's an absolute genius, and it takes 4th gear to cross 100 kilometers per hour. That's the reason why it actually dulls the 0 to 100 kilometer per hour time of this car. But that said, there's not much to complain because the downsizing has come at an attractive price, and downsizing not only in terms of displacement but also in terms of power and torque. The 3.2, well, I miss it already, to be very honest with you guys. Little bit of nosedive under heavy braking and a lot of stuff falling behind as well. Traction levels are absolutely brilliant, and I love driving the Endeavour. In fact, I had taken the car to Goa and had a lot of fun because it's a very comfortable car. It's a mild muncher and just doesn't feel its weight. So Ford has done a fantastic job in the way the car has been balanced. Like, you never feel the weight of the car or the size of the car. It's humongous in terms of size, but yet it gobbles up the miles, and the ride quality is absolutely brilliant. This is a very, very, very comfortable car indeed. Now, if you want to buy one, I would honestly tell you to get the 4x4, but the 4x2 does the job if you're not going to go off-road. Off-road obviously capability is there with this car as well. However, how much will the Sport Edition cost? Well, here is the funny thing, okay? With the Sport Edition, they might charge you a premium, but technically the price should be lower, right? If you think about it, they've removed the chrome and they've put black instead. And as far as I remember and my mathematics go, black is cheaper than chrome. So why are we charging a premium for the Sport Edition for only blackening out stuff? Well, that's how things work, because maybe the Sport Edition is going to be limited as well. So the Ford Endeavour is a fantastic car. Obviously, it is now kind of aging as well, because still it misses out on a lot of stuff, like ventilated seats are not there. Now it gets Ford's Pass, which is connected car tech with 55 features. What are those 55 features? Well, you can unlock the car, you can see fuel levels, and a lot of other stuff which is obviously there with a lot more cars now, because connected car tech has made it to a lot of vehicles. Now in terms of size, it's longer, it's wider, it's taller than the Toyota Fortuner, and of course it's a direct competitor to the Toyota Fortuner, which is actually a very good seller in the segment. It is the most selling car in the segment, the Fortuner, but the Endeavour holds on to its own. So when the new Endeavour would be coming, that time Toyota would be giving the Fortuner a facelift, which you've already seen in the Legender model. Really looks very rad indeed. And you know, maybe we need a little bit more adaptive features, like maybe adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist and all those things, because I think like the MG Gloster is coming with that. The Endeavour starts to feel its age in that sense. However, you know, the Sport Edition gives it that sporty appeal, but the interior should have been blackened as well. That would be really cool, because black interiors would be really rad on this car. Now it has more water weighting capacity than the Fortuner, and obviously because of the electronic tech it has, even the hardware bits, it is more capable than the Fortuner. However, the Fortuner is no less at all, staying true to Toyota's SUV heritage, but the ride quality is just too stiff on the Fortuner. I don't like the ride on the Fortuner at all. This is just so much more comfortable a car, and it's easy to drive as well. Like, we're going to take a U-turn right now. Just see how easy it is. It's super nimble. You can twirl the steering with one hand. That is the ease with which this car drives. Yeah, that's it. You're done. Wow, that's awesome. This 2-liter diesel engine is actually been made in India since quite a long time. Ford has been exporting this engine abroad. It's known as the Panther engine. Obviously complies with BS6 emission norms, uses AdBlue fluid as well. Fuel efficiency is actually improved by 14% as claimed by Ford, of course. However, in the real world, expect a fuel economy between 8 to 11 kilometers per liter, again depending on your driving style. Although the MID weirdly is saying something else right now. Let's see what the MID is saying right now. The MID says that the car is returning, okay, it's not in this menu. That's kind of frustrating. Yeah, it's saying 5.2 kilometers per liter, 6.1 kilometers per liter for the log drive which we have done right now, which is actually quite poor. However, I think in the real world you can stretch it to 8, 9, 10 kilometers per liter. So compared to the 3.2, this is definitely more efficient. And if you're worried about fuel stops, not to worry. It has got a massive 80 freaking liter fuel tank. Yeah, that's a massive fuel tank in this car. But everything about this car is about size and road presence. In spite of looking so brute, the car drives like it's so easy to drive and very comfortable as well. And that's why I love the Endeavour. I love the fact that it's got more features than the Fortuner. It's more comfortable to drive than the Fortuner, and the ride is just phenomenal. The ride is really the highlight here. Only thing is that the steering could have offered more feel and feedback, but who really cares? The Endeavour obviously uses a variable geometry turbocharger, and now I'm going to manually shift gears. So you see, the motor is willing to rev, and it kind of revs a lot. So here we are. You're going to get into first gear and see what speed it does in every gear. So in first gear, it does 40 kilometers per hour, almost 5000 RPM. Into second gear, yeah, there is that lag in shifts. It's not the fastest with shifts when you're trying to, get the shifts done flat out. Almost 70 kilometers per hour in second, 69 kilometers per hour to be precise. In third gear, this car will not hit 100 kilometers per hour. Unfortunately, it does 90 kilometers per hour, and we are into fourth. Now in fourth gear, it crosses 100 kilometers per hour. You just see that gearing is really short. That's the reason it has a 10-speed gearbox. And you know what? It's one of the first cars in the world to get a 10-speed gearbox, 110 kilometers per hour in fourth gear. Now let's just shift into 10th gear. How is it to drive in 10th gear? Well, in 10th gear, the RPM needle is at just 1300, 1400 RPM at 80 kilometers per hour. So it feels very relaxed, and that also pumps up the fuel economy of this car. So that's like a win-win situation. I know a lot of you have been missing the 3.2 liter engine. Yeah, there are no drive modes on offer, but there's a sport mode for the gearbox, which just gives a little bit more eagerness, lets the gearbox take it up slightly higher in the rev range. There's no point being in the top end. Why do you want to be in the top end? And bad roads, no problem. Look at the way it goes. Yeah, absolutely no problem. You know that the chassis will handle it. Obviously, body on frame, really very rugged, really very strong, and a fantastic car as well. It's got 7 airbags, by the way. There's a knee airbag here as well. So yeah, plenty of features on offer. Now the next generation Endeavour would be quite something. But that's going to come next year. We're going to do a vlog on that at that time. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That's a like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Bye bye.